Hello and welcome to another edition of Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo. Focus on Morris County is a program that's designed to keep us up to date on the many actions that are being taken by the Morris County Board of Freeholders. And the show is also intended to make us all more aware of the many facets of county government. On this segment of the program, I'm pleased to be joined by Morris County Freeholder John Murphy. Freeholder Murphy has been on the board since 1998. He served 2 terms as Freeholder Director, and after 15 years on the board, he is leaving after the end of the year of 2012. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me on again.
I guess we should really start. I'd say, at the end of 2012, you're leaving the Freeholder Board. Why did you decide not to seek re-election to the board?
Well, I've always been a person who's talked about term limits, and in the case of the Freeholder Board, I've talked about self-imposed term limits. And I think that 15 years is a long time. I'm not sure exactly where the sweet spot is. Is it 12? Is it 15? But for me, it wasn't 18, and it wasn't 21. So I'm leaving with mixed emotions. I have a lot of things going on in my life. My family's young. I have 4 children, and I'd like to spend more time with them. And also related to family, when you're trying to put 4 kids through school and braces and all the other things that come with raising a family, I need to just focus more time on building my business.
When did you know that 2012 was going to be your last year? Was it at the beginning of the year? Was it in 2011?
When I ran 3 years ago, I pretty much figured, and it said so publicly, that this would likely be my last term. So I've known about it for a while. There were a couple of things that I wanted to stay involved with and projects that I wanted to see brought to fruition. And we've been able to accomplish a lot in those 3 years on those 2 projects. So I'm leaving again with mixed emotions, but for a variety of reasons, it's time to go.
Now, 15 years on the Freeholder Board, obviously there are a lot of accomplishments that we really will just be able to touch the surface. Accomplishments of the board, seeing through some projects that began before 1998, projects that have started and have been completed since 1998. What are some of those that stand out in your mind?
Well, when I started, my background as a volunteer fireman and having attended what was then the Fire and Police Academy got me involved very intimately, along with one of my Freeholder colleagues, Doug Cabana, in promoting the expansion of the academy, which is now the Public Safety Training Facility. So my early recollections were that was an important project, the Life Safety Training Complex, and really trying to bring the whole facility up to a new level. And then you fast forward to recent years, the expansion at the Academy with regard to the Emergency Operations Center, the Communications Center, are 2 major projects that I would say over the last 15 years I was involved with. And then between those, there were things like the School of Technology going to a 4-year program. I remember very vividly having breakfast with the powers that be at that great facility, that great institution, and talking about their vision for the future, and left that meeting thinking like, wow, this would be a nice thing to do. And here we are 10 or so years later with a great facility there on Route 53 in Denville. In addition to that, and I've spoken about it on this program probably half a dozen times, is the whole what's generically known as the Greystone Project, which was where the county purchased surplus property from the state for $1, and we've spent millions of dollars remediating the environmental, the asbestos, tearing down buildings that were beyond repair. But there's been a couple of components of that project that my colleagues and I have been involved with, and I'm proud to say that we've housed the Interfaith Food Pantry there and several other great nonprofits, and probably by this time next year we'll also have the nonprofit mall completed, which will be anchored by St. Clair's and the Dutton Center. But in addition to that, there will be other community-based nonprofits that will be housed there. And the thought of it was just like you go to one of the shopping malls You're able to park your car and buy everything from a car battery to a dress shirt to a greeting card. Our human service clients would be able to take a bus or drive to the nonprofit mall at the Greystone campus, which is now known, of course, as Central Park of Morris County, to accurately reflect all the neat things that are going on there, and also to kind of talk, it's right smack in the middle of the county. But the thought there was that it would make it easier for the nonprofits and for the people they serve. In addition to that, one of the other components was the active recreation component. I saw my daughter run high school cross-country meet there with literally hundreds and hundreds of spectators and student athletes from all over the county, and it really made me feel good to know that the freeholders and the park commission had something to do with that. Then you throw in the roller rinks, the Miracle Ball Field, the new athletic complex that's going to be built with 4 turf fields that'll serve the county adult athletic leagues and some of the youth leagues. So there's been a lot of neat things, and I'm very pleased that I had a small part to do with a lot of that.
Now, you mentioned the Human Services Department, and I know that in recent years you've been liaison to the Department of Human Services. What is it about that department, about the programs, about the people that take advantage of those programs that you have learned since you've been liaison to that Human Services Department?
Boy, it really opened my eyes to what goes on under the hood, so to speak, in the human services community. In my first several years as freeholder, before I was director, I was the liaison to things like law enforcement and public safety and administration and finance, and everything we did there was easy to quantify. It was a budget issue, it was number of police officers trained, number of firefighters trained, again, very quantifiable. When Sissy Lorries left the board about 6 years ago, Sissy had been the human services liaison for many, many years, and she wasn't going to give that up. But it created an opportunity for me, and I think it was John Bonanni, the administrator, said, hey, John, why don't you consider being the human services liaison? And I did, and frankly, Joe, it was probably one of the best things I've done, not just as a freeholder, but as a human being. It is remarkable what a AAA-rated, wealthy county does for those who are less fortunate. And the folks who work not just in our human services division, the county employees, are just so passionate about what they do. But we partner with dozens and dozens of community-based nonprofits. Many of those folks are volunteers, and the ones that are paid don't make a whole lot of money, but they do it because they love what they do and they want to make a difference in people's lives. So for me, it's been an eye-opener, again, coming from a wealthy county. There are a lot of people, for a variety of reasons, are down on their luck or less fortunate, whether it's mental illnesses, addictions, homelessness, and these are people that really need to have somebody there to take care of them when times are tough. So the county does a lot. We work hand in hand with the nonprofits. And if Sissy hadn't retired and I hadn't taken that opportunity, I would have not known all the great things that are done. So that's what makes Morris County AAA rated county, is how we treat the people who are less fortunate, not what our balance sheet says.
And one of the aspects of the Human Services Department is Morrisview Healthcare Center, especially the nursing home component. In your opinion, what do you think the future is for Morrisview as a county-owned facility?
Well, I'm of the belief that the direct care component, it's so important that the county maintain the control and the operation of that. Over the years, because the nursing home had really lost a lot of money, and it's not a profit-making venture. It is there for those who are less fortunate, who have towards the end of their life, need a place to go. They can't live in their homes. They can't afford to go to a nursing home. This place is as clean as any private pay institution I've ever seen. So I think it's important that we maintain the direct care component under the control and operation of the county. But what we've done over the years is we've privatized things like food service and laundry and maintenance and even the management of the nursing home. So I think we'll continue, the boards going forward should continue to try to maintain the costs, cut costs where they can, but I think it's really important that we maintain that control because that's what sets us apart from the private pays. The people that work at Morris View are remarkable people. They treat a lot of those patients there like their family. Yeah. And this last storm, I was up there and I'll tell you, it's remarkable. Those people, you know, a lot of them had problems in their own homes, but they came to work to take care of the people that that are the patients at Morris View. And just a remarkable group of people.
Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that you've been on the board for 15 years. Before being a freeholder, you also served locally on the governing body in Morris Township.
Yeah.
When you first entered the political arena, so to speak, were there any people that mentored you, for example, or maybe that you wanted to take you under their wings and give you advice? And if so, maybe one or two.
Sure. Well, I'm not sure if they wanted to take me under their wings, but I'm a person who always looks to what other people say and think and do. Some of my role models, I mean, Kathleen Highland, I served with her on the governing body in Morris Township, has become a dear friend, wonderful lady, just someone loaded with common sense and a sense of public service. The late Carrie Edwards became a friend of mine. Carrie was someone who really inspired me to run for higher office. Spent most of his adult life serving the public in either elected or appointed positions. Sheriff Ed Rochford, a dear friend of mine. I kind of got the bug when Ed ran for sheriff years ago about what it was like to run a county campaign. So, it's those three and many, many others that I look up to. My good friend Doug Cabana, who started about the same time I did on the Freeholder Board, but had been in public office since he was in his mid-20s, taught me a lot about local government. So I've been blessed with a lot of good mentors, and I've really been blessed to work in the county with with folks like you and John Bonanni and Mary Jo Buchanan and all the department heads. It really is a neat place to have had the opportunity to serve the public.
Well, I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you these past 15 years, and I want to wish you and your family the very best.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
Now, if you have a question about Morris County government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. Why don't you visit us on the web as well? It's morriscountynj.gov. And once you're there, please check out all of the various social media that the county government here in Morris embraces. I'm Joe Garifo. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm John Pecoraro, surrogate of Morris County. If a loved one passes away and you need to transfer property to their heirs, you must come to the surrogate's court. This is true even if the deceased did not have a will. This process is known as probate. Now, probate in New Jersey is not overly complicated, and my staff is available to assist you. If you have any questions, please call my office at 973-285-6500 or visit our website at morrissurrogate.com.
Welcome back to Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, and I'm joined on this segment of the program by Morris County Freeholder Bill Chegwidden. Freeholder Chegwidden was first elected to the Freeholder Board in November of 2006. He was selected by his colleagues to be Freeholder Director in 2011 and again in 2012. And Bill's leaving the Freeholder Board at the end of 2012, having served 2 3-year terms. Freeholder, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. 6 years on the Freeholder Board. How would you characterize that time period?
Well, it's certainly a learning experience because I've learned a lot about county government. Of course, I also learned a lot about what a great staff we have down at the county. A lot of innovative, creative people down there who make things happen. By the way, in reduction of staff too, we reduced the staff over the years, and they still maintain the services. So that in itself, I think, is a tribute to the staff, and I'd like to thank the staff for everything they've done for over the years, those 6 years, and will continue to do also.
You mentioned just a few seconds ago that you learned a lot about county government during your 6 years on the Freeholder Board. What is it, I mean, besides the staff, what did you learn about county government that perhaps you didn't know 6 years ago?
Well, there's so many different facets of it. A lot of times, people don't even think about Meals on Wheels and how it's getting distributed, or how well our court system runs, the county court system, and sometimes even without having the staff by the proper judges. So that's a tribute to them also, because they keep it moving. And I always knew that we were run efficiently. And I've said to you in times past that we always have followed that green line, and we certainly have. I have, and I think the board has. But it is very well run, and it has been for years. We've kept our debt down. We made sure that the improvements were being made. Roads and bridges. It's really an invisible part of government. People don't really realize what happens in county government. So I knew those things, but it really brought it home when you sit on the board and you see, how creative people are.
Now, you've been a councilman in Wharton, and you've also been a mayor. In fact, you continue to hold the mayor's spot, and you will continue after you leave the Freeholder Board. Was your municipal experience an asset to you when you first came on the Freeholder Board?
Absolutely, because I didn't have to pick up on how meetings were being run. I sat on planning boards, so I knew a little bit about that. Put budgets together. So a lot of those things are certainly things that you need to have when you walk into office. You're ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be on the prep team to realize what's happening here. You're already on the varsity team, and all you have to do is step into the position. Yeah. So I certainly think it helped big time.
Now, the past couple of years, while you've been on the Freeholder Board, you've been liaison to the Morris County Improvement Authority, which in 2010 embarked on an innovative renewable energy program. It's called the Morris Model.
Award-winning.
Award-winning, yes. Solar energy project. Yeah. What has this project meant to the county and to the participants in the project? Well,
it's certainly a shared service because we used our AAA bond rating to facilitate a lot of the projects. What's it mean to the towns and to the schools? If you take a ride through County College, you see all the solar panels that are being put up here, megawatts. Not kilowatts, megawatts. You see, it's savings. The taxpayers never paid back those bonds. They were being paid back by the private provider. So we just used our rating, our AAA rating, with a few other things involved mm-hmm. in there, but we used that to the advantage of the schools and to the towns, which makes it an advantage to everybody in the county. So it was certainly a win-win, and I'm very proud of that project. I'm proud of everybody that worked on that project, because there were certainly a lot of people that put time and effort into that. I just presented it, and once again, it's our staff being creative and running with this project and putting it in place and making it work. So kudos to them also. Great staff to work with. I can't say that enough.
Another initiative that the Freeholder Board has undertaken over the past couple of years is an expansion of the Public Safety Training Academy, formerly known as the Firefighters and Police Training Academy. Yeah. And a key component of that expansion is an expanded Emergency Communication Center. Yeah. Why is this important?
Well, we just lived through a couple storms here. In the past couple of years, we had 3 different storms. It's a hardened facility, which is supposed to be able to stand a 100-year storm. That's big in an emergency, because we can be bunkered down in there and make sure that things are being communicated throughout the county. Of course, we've also put our technology in that building too. Our technology, and not the fault of anybody, but it's kind of been almost like a spaghetti type of technology for a while. Now we're going to have it in one building, in a hardened building, which is protected with backup generators. Of course, we're going to have our crime lab. That's also in there, to give the residents of Morris County a first-rate crime lab. Of course, if anything happens within your family, you want to make sure it's being taken care of professionally, and it certainly will within those realm there. And also, of course, our communications. And the communications is another shared service. Eventually, what happens is when the other towns start to come on, that will be brought into the tax base. That was always the plan, to bring it back into the tax base. And that will free up the monies that are being spent in the municipalities on emergency services, calls, to be, go back to the taxpayer, so.
And so certainly, those savings won't show up in the county budget, but they'll show up in a municipality's budget.
And the funny thing is that, the county budget will go up, okay? It was going to go up because we're taking on that service. But that service is being performed,
Yes. Now, talking about budgets, also while you've been on the Freeholder Board, you were a member of the Freeholder Budget Committee, which meets throughout the year to formulate a budget. As a member of that committee, and even now as a freeholder not on that committee, what has been your approach to putting a county budget together?
Well, we really haven't changed our capital budget. Our capital budget has been the same. We've always made sure it's about $25 million. Now, if you look at that, and we maintain it at that rate, but the budget has actually gone up. So our capital budget actually has gone down comparable to the county budget. We have rotated our debt. We have kept our debt at a certain rate. And, it's been a good thing because, of course, as Moody's and, other rating agencies come in, they look at that. And they look at that we have low debt, and we keep a fund balance in there, anywhere from about 30 million and up. And people should know that really that runs the county for 1 month. So you certainly want to make sure that you have enough savings in your account to run your household for 1 month. That's always been the approach, and we've always have done everything from the bottom up. So when departments have come in, we've asked them, and we go to them because they're the experts. Okay, what can we cut in the budget? What do you need? Okay, what are the wants and what are the needs? Yeah. So that's always been the approach, and we deal with very professional people, so they've been innovative in some of the solutions that they have brought us over the years.
And you mentioned the rating agencies, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, and they obviously support what the county does, their financial practices.
I want to give you my favorite line when I was in there, and I love this line, because I asked the question, what can we do, to help us maintain our AAA bond rating? And the agency said, well, we don't know. We use Morris County as the example. That said it all. Now, that's just not reflected on me. That's freeholders in the past that, like I said to you earlier, who have stayed the course and never swayed the course, and made sure that we were financially sound. Yeah. And we're financially sound even in the climate that we're in right now. So that's a good thing.
And again, the rating agencies noted that when giving us a AAA rating in 2012, they had a stable outlook.
Now this is since the 1970s we've had this. We've maintained this since the 1970s.
Yeah. And for some of our viewers who may not be familiar with the AAA rating, that is the highest rating that a government entity can receive on its bonds.
And why it's so good is because we get to borrow money at a lesser rate. So that's why it works so well.
Now, again, you've been on the Freeholder Board for 6 years. You're going to be leaving at the end of 2012. As you look at county government, maybe not just in Morris County, but as the state as a whole, what is the importance, in your opinion, of county government? Because there are a lot of folks who, question the validity of county government?
Well-
You've been on both sides.
Yeah, that's a tough question because I guess I have to go back to it. Really go back to it's invisible again. I like the human services side of it because you really reaching out to people a lot of times that smaller communities couldn't afford to do. Like I said, Meals on Wheels,
Right.
or our nursing home, which is a jewel. And when I first started on the Freeholder Board, the nursing home was costing us about $14 million. As I exit the Freeholder Board, it's about $3.5 million that it's costing us. So that's an accomplishment there. That's one of the things that we took on, myself, Gene File, and the rest of the board when we first got elected. And we've managed that and managed to keep the nursing home and keep it and maintain it at the same level. And if you talk to anybody that has, been up to the nursing home or have had a parent or grandparent in that nursing home, they will tell you that it's a top-notch facility. So certainly, if you look at that, I guess it's the human element. You have to have that human element that's in there. Of course, there's other things too, like the bridges. We take care of 1,000 bridges throughout the county. Most people don't realize that. That's a lot of bridges to take care of and a lot of money that's being put towards that. We have a great staff that does that also. So, they're just some of the different things,
And obviously, there are some things that towns just would not be able to do on their own that the county picks up. And I want to, first of all, thank you for being on the program
Oh, you're
today.
welcome.
And as I mentioned that you're leaving the board, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you, and all the best to you and
Thank
to
you.
your family.
Thank you, Joe. Thank
Now, if you have a question about Morris County government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders office at 973-285-6010. Also, why don't you visit us on the web? We're at morriscountynj.gov, and when you're there, please sign up for Morris Connections, which is our electronic newsletter. And then please take advantage of the various forms of social media that the county embraces. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check out past programs on YouTube, visit the county's document library on Scribd, and take a look at our Flickr photos as well. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you very much for being with us. Tune in again next week at this time for another edition of Focus on Morris County.